Well, guys, can you believe this? I can't believe it. Look at it out there. Look at that. No rain. Oh, look at that. That is nasty, nasty mess. Who the hell can live like that? Well, I guess you're looking at them. So, finally able to start getting back to this barn. Holy cow. Didn't think it was going to happen. It's going to be hit or miss. There's a lot of rain in the forecast. You can't tell looking around. See all that water, all that mud? It is like that everywhere here. Of course, everybody else in the northern climate is dealing with the same thing right now. So, first things first, I've got to get this mess cleaned up. I'll take you a little closer. This mess is nasty. Hear my feet squishing once in a while. I have to get all this up, get all these beams on the slab, get them recovered up with the sunshine coming. I don't want everything warping. This is from a late fall and winter of me just picking through piles. I mean, it's bad. So, but I'm not going to bother putting all this on the slab just to create another mess. I think what I'm going to do is start cutting all these slabs into 10-inch boards. So, enter the sawmill. So you guys saw a previous video, the sawmill, I was moving it. Here's the deal. You guys see what this is set up on right now? Don't do what I'm doing right here. This is a temporary, very temporary setup until this ground gets hard. And then I can do some work to put it in its permanent place. Really, these sawmills, and a viewer actually commented earlier, and he's absolutely right. So, there you go, Arnold. You're right, bud. So, this right here should be set on a slab that's in like a frost wall. If that slab has any chance of cracking or anything like that, this is a pretty solid frame mill. I mean, it's not tube steel. This is 3x3 angle iron. It's all welded pretty well. This is a Hudson, but it doesn't matter. Even with 3x3 angle iron, this frame's still going to rack. It's still going to bend a little bit. It's still going to move. It needs to be supported very well. On the bunks of this old pallet racking I have here, this is all welded together, so it's a solid piece, but this is completely temporary, guys. So, before the commenters start coming that I'm doing it wrong, temporary, those are the key words. This is temporary. But let's show you the mill a little bit. Now, this is not a fancy mill. It's not a Cadillac. It's not a big horsepower engine on it. I think that's only a 13 horse Briggs and scrap iron on there. But what was that, 420 cc? But you know, it does a pretty good job. I've cut some I've done some full 30-inch cuts on this thing. It's done just fine. You know, getting a little rusty, a lot of surface rust, but on the non-painted surfaces, this thing, this will have a permanent home and a full-length lean-to along this barn here. So, but anyhow, these sawmills, these are great. You know, I've used it a little bit today. They've got good heavy greasable bearings. The track, the adjustment track here, that's all greasable. Your tensioner right there. And this is what I use. This is what I use to tension it. The big old socket on here, I think it's 1.25 inches with a drift pin handle, which is kind of handy. Very simple guides on it, nothing really fancy here. No fancy lube system. Just a metal tank they put on there, which eventually I'm going to mount a plastic tank because that metal tank eventually will rot out, you know. You got a centrifugal clutch on that. A B-belt drives the band wheels. You can see them in there. Now these are the band tires. They've got a crown in it, and that's what your band blade rolls on. This is a 1-inch wide blade. was it 126 inches long, something like that. Let's see what we got here. Now let's see, look at the name tag here. Excuse me, 167 inches long. So this is our model right here, the HFE 30. All in all, I am very happy with this mill. And there's nothing fancy. You know, get the adjustment. Just a hand crank. You know, you got to take your time with it. But like I said, this mill right here has milled everything you see here, and it has milled everything you see there. I have no complaints on this mill. This thing has done a really good job. So anyhow, let me get this guy set up on the tripod. I've got to get a bunch of boards together, and once I get them ready to go, I'm cutting just some 1x10s and 1x8s for siding and flooring. So like I said, I'm in my process of getting all that mess cleaned up because I can't take looking at it anymore. So we'll be back in just a moment. Alright guys, I've got 7 planks stacked up there on the sawmill. Those are just from the slabs I take off the logs when I'm like milling my tie beams, things like that. So it's kind of hard to mill a stack of boards that thin together. I guess it's not really hard, but you got to take a little more time setting up to make sure you're getting straight cuts. Again, like I said at the beginning, the base I have this mill on is not what you want to be doing heavy logs with. It is not sturdy enough to keep it from moving, and it's going to throw your cuts off. So don't use this base as an example. Like I said, before I start milling the next logs, I'll have something a lot more substantial under that. But for smaller logs, you know, 10-12 inch logs, that's not a problem. I mean, that's a pretty, I made that base here a few years ago. It's all pallet racking. It's made to hold heavy weights. It's doubled up through a good portion of it. Shouldn't go anywhere, but like I said, do not use this as an example. So anyhow, little trick when you're trying to clamp together a stack of boards like that. You know, take a clamp, something like that, get it on the bottoms of the boards, squeeze them together, and then dog them down. So I'm going to do that as I go, and we'll see if we can't get milling something. Cows are screaming, dogs are barking. I don't think anybody wants me to do any filming today. I've had the kids out here 3 or 4 times. Every time I go to turn the camera on, I get distracted too easily when I'm trying to do this stuff. Poor kids. Now you'll see I'm putting a crappy board on the outside. These log dogs right here got a pretty sharp point on them. This I'll just put on the floor or whatever. These boards aren't the prettiest. I'm doubling up my siding and I'm doubling up my second floor. So these boards don't have to be absolutely perfect for me because they're going to get a nice layer on the outside. But when you when you go to mill these, you still want to try to get them as best as you can, even though it's going to be more of a sheathing layer than anything. It's not going to be the final what you're going to see. So I don't mind using a little bit crappier lumber. Obviously I want to have them nice and dry though before I put them on, otherwise they're going to mold bad. Some of these did get moldy. I'll have to bleach them down before I put them up, but you know, that's what happens. Alright, we're all clamped up. All I have to do is raise that head up, fire it up, and turn these into 10-inch wide boards. So I won't time lapse this video, that way you guys can see kind of how long it takes. This is a bit of a poor test to show how fast the sawmill cuts, because boards like this cut really easy, so it goes pretty fast. You see that wide slab in the middle there, that 1-inch board there? That's I think that's something like 20 inches wide, 21 inches wide at its widest. Takes a little bit longer to make a cut that wide. When you're milling with a band mill or any kind of mill, for safety's sakes or whatever you want to call it, but more of a bandsaw mill, if you want a good quality cut, don't push too hard. A lot of people think they want to go through the wood like a lightsaber, but problem is, you start pushing too hard, you start flexing the blade, then the cut starts to get wavy, and then you look like a washboard, or you get some really big waves in the wood. I can tell you how I know, but I'm sure if you keep watching the barn videos, you'll see something in there that'll show you that. But anyhow, I'll get it fired up, we'll get it adjusted. You guys can see how this goes. That was pretty easy. Now we got all other style. Geez, I can't speak English. Whole other pile of stickers to use. That cow and I are going to have words here pretty soon. If it doesn't stop yelling at me, it's going to go in the pot. So, you guys see how quick it is. It's not bad at all. Geez, it goes fast. I was using one finger on it there quite a bit just so you guys could see how easy this pushes through a stack of boards like this. I've got this on a pretty good incline too, and that kind of helps gravity. Whatever you got to do to save your body. But remember, if you're doing bigger stuff, get a better base than this. I can't say that enough. I just don't want somebody doing something like this and then wondering why their stuff isn't coming out square because I told them it was a good idea. So anyhow. Now, one thing I could tell you about this mill, the Hudson design, it leaves a little bit to be desired on the log dogs. They have a tendency to, if you dog them down too tight, they have a big tendency to twist your beam on you, and that will really upset you when you spend a lot of time on a nice beam and it comes out way out of square. Do you want to know how I know? It seems to do it worse the smaller the pieces you use, the worse that gets for you. And they're kind of hard to, they're kind of a pain to get off of there, but anyhow, there's a nice little pile of 1x10s for us. Got a 1x8 out of that other one. I probably could have gotten 2 1x10s out of it, but I didn't want to cut it so close to the edge. Unfortunately, a lot of these boards are sapwood, and that creates its own set of problems. Bugs like the sapwood a lot more. There's a lot more in there for them, but economically, I can't afford to waste a heck of a lot on this, so I've got to kind of do what I have to do to get the lumber I need. But this weekend, you know, I wanted to be cutting some beams, but I can't even get a tractor in to where I have my beams stacked right now because it's just going to get buried. So I do have a lot of little stuff I can do though. I've got more floor joists to set. I could do that whole section of flooring once I get those set. Got to make hardwood wedges to go on those scarf joints. So I have plenty to keep me busy and plenty of stuff I could show you guys. But anyhow, there are a couple things you do need to do with these mills when you go to shut it down for the night. I'll show you what we do. Shaky camera. Screaming cows. One cow is destined for the frying pan. Okay, get us a little more level here. I think I bought the cheapest tripod I could find to do this because I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on stuff if it doesn't work out. So anyhow, in my on my website I did an article on bandsaw mills versus chainsaw mills. I'll put a link to that website at the end of this video. But when you're done milling for the day, it's always a good idea to get the tension off of this blade. You've got a rubber tire that sits inside of this wheel, this band wheel. It's actually crowned. Very important to keep that crown. If you leave that band under tension all the time, that's going to flatten that guy out and you're going to have to replace the tires on it. You can use a V-belt. They do make a V-belt that fits this, but why take the chance? You know, there's no... This is such a simple thing to do to negate that. I prefer just to loosen it up. But This is such a simple mill. I mean, Hudson, and I'm not, if Hudson wants to pay me, they're more than welcome to. I mean, I'm not going to turn away money, but at the same time, Hudson doesn't owe me anything. I don't owe them anything, but I can tell you this mill's been really good for me. It's very simple, not a lot of complication to it. Guys, it was $6 grand out the door, 28 feet of track, 15 extra blades. I can't complain. That was a really good price. You look at a Wood-Mizer, you look at even a Norwood, you look at any of them where you get the same amount of track, the extra blades, see how much that's going to run you. I just could not justify the expense. And when this barn's built, this thing's going to have a permanent home and a lean-to off the side. Get it out of the weather, because everything I own here is out in the weather, and I can't really take that anymore. It's driving me nuts. So all I do, every night I'm done using this thing, just take the tension off. That's it. Nothing too complicated. I just pull it in a little bit. Blade's good and loose. I probably should have shown you guys when I set this up this morning how to tension it, but it was so windy out I couldn't really explain much. But you know, the other thing, if you have this in a place like I do, the wind is bad enough up here. I've had to take this mill head and just blow it down the tracks. It shouldn't on the pitch it's on, but when I had it bolted down to the slab up there, geez, it took it once on me and just about knocked this mill right off the end of the tracks. So, and this guy is heavy. I need the tractor just to pick on it any way, shape, or form. So anyhow, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you'd like some more information on this mill, get a hold of me. Like I said, you can check out the website. There's an article in there I wrote on bandsaw mills versus chainsaw mills. Anyhow, if you guys liked her, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to keep up on what's going on, and we'll try to get another one out here tomorrow. We'll see what I'm able to work on tomorrow. Everything is weather depending around here, so this time of year at least. Come summertime, it'll be a little bit easier. So anyhow, you guys have a good night, and thanks for watching.